Welcome to Ignite to Impact. This is Dr. Geneva, and today we have a wonderful conversation with Christy Rutherford, an executive leadership coach who really is a down-to-earth, authentic leader who shares with us how to mind your own business, be selfish, discover yourself, take permission to know yourself so that you can unleash yourself and be all you want to be for a life of total fulfillment.
Ignite to Impact.
Welcome to the Ignite to Impact podcast, bringing you people who transform careers, entrepreneurial paths, and communities. We call them leaders. People who are influencers, who create life-changing opportunities in business and in life, for others and for themselves. People who inspire and teach us by example. I'm Dr. Geneva, your host, and thank you for being here with me in the voiceover production studios of Michigan's legendary Gerald McBride. Ignite to Impact is all about being influential and using your influence to make a positive difference in your career, in your community, and in yourself. Our guests come from all walks of life, but with one thing in common. They've learned how to unleash their influence for impact in whatever they're doing. These leaders make things better than they found them for people now and for generations to come. And guess what? They're here to share their stories and secrets. And today in studio, I have Christy Rutherford. I am so excited. She's globally recognized as a certified executive leadership coach. She got her training from Georgetown University and Harvard Business School. She's a keynote speaker and she's a best-selling author. In fact, she's published 5 number 1 best-selling books on Amazon in 8 months. So you can understand why I'm so glad and delighted and thrilled to be talking to Christy Rutherford. How are you today?
I'm fantastic, Dr. Geneva. Thanks for inviting me, and I'm excited to get some information out to your audience.
Oh, yes. Well, the first thing, can you tell us why 5 best-selling books on Amazon? I mean, what you're writing about must be something people really want to hear, and also for you to put in that kind of time and energy. Tell us why.
Oh, absolutely. I was in a growth stage for about 3 years. I left my career, resigned from a successful 6-figure career, and really just wanted to hit the reset button. And what does that really mean and what does it entail? It's starting to fill my mind with personal development, because so many times we sacrifice who we are for professional development and we become these leaders, but your leadership person can stand 200 feet tall, but if you don't develop your personal self at the same rate, personally you're 4 feet tall, but outside you're 400 feet tall. So just started to do a lot of work on myself, becoming a better human, a better person, working on my mindset and doing all these things. And after a 3-year period, basically it was time to unleash. So I had, it was almost like a dam being holding back so much water and information, and then it just started to come out and it started to pour. And so I just kept writing. And it's funny because in the first year I published 2 books, and then I told my friend, I haven't done anything this year. I know I got into Harvard, and that's great, but I just feel like I haven't accomplished anything. She said, Christy, you wrote 2 books, right? But Dr. Geneva, that wasn't Christy style. So I wrote 2 more before the end of the year to make it 4.
Oh,
now that was something. That's pretty much what happened. I wanted to win bigger.
Oh, okay. So this unleashing that you talked about, and the Ignite to Impact is all about unleashing. So tell us a little bit. What do you mean you unleashed, that dam broke? What happened?
We have so much hidden potential, so much uncovered potential. Even for people who are quote unquote successful, there's so much more to us. And we're walking around, and even though I was successful in my career, I would look out the window and say, man, the business world is missing me right now. So even though I was successful, I always knew I wasn't in the right place. So how do I now condition myself to unleash and figure out what is left within me, because I learned how to use tools and skills and talents that I developed over time. But then there were other things that had to be unlocked within me. So now doing the work, well, what else can I really do? Well, I do love to talk all the time. But what else can I do? Well, how do you lead from a world platform? And one of the things that John Gray talks about, he says, there's nothing worse than having a great gift in the hands of an immature believer.
Okay, no, wait a minute. Now say that again. Let's hear that again. Break that down for me. Go ahead.
He said there's nothing worse than having a gift in the hands of an immature believer.
So what does that mean to you?
So belief is, are you really, and this is what I talked about earlier, are you really the person? Are you the 400-foot person, or are you the 4-foot person? Because that shows up in your character when you're actually starting to lead. That shows up in who you are when you start to interact with people. Do I really need, Fiji water and a white background in my green room? Or can I just walk in, just sit in the waiting area and just wait to get on the show? I mean, so some of those things is we have these illusions of who we create, who success creates, but that's not necessarily who we are. So your gift can only take you so far. But if you choose to do the work on who you are and discover who you really are at the core, even in its ugliness, even in its dysfunction, and even in its weirdness, and learn how to work on that person and correct that person, then that person can grow into a completely different level.
Yes. So that development of self seems to be so basic and so important, and it's something that sometimes we're so busy running and doing that we don't take the time to look internally, look at self, and develop me.
Absolutely. And that's the downfall of so many people. When I think about Kate Spade or Anthony Bourdain, or they talk about suicide has increased for women, 65% for middle-aged women in the past 20 years.
Okay.
So what is that? The gap is who they think they are and who they actually are. So I always ask people, are you who you are, or are you who life made you? Life can make us completely different than who we were at our core. Life can whoop your butt. You can have a bad boss and a bad relationship and a terrible childhood, and you can hold on to those things and think that that's your lot in life. But that's not who you are. Who you are is pure. Who you are is joy. Who you are is peace. Who you are is love. But sometimes we hold on so much to the traumatic things or the things that happened to us in the past, and then you don't have time to address it because you're too busy shooting for success and getting all these professional accoutrements that at a certain point is going to crumble. That gap is going to close somehow, and typically it's catastrophic.
Yeah, they say the gap between what reality and what you think, often that's frustration in that gap. So, Christy, how do you discover your core? What are your secrets to discovering your core?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that Napoleon Hill said, he said, if I had the courage to look in the mirror and see myself as I truly am, then I will figure out what is wrong with me and start to do some work to what do you say? If I had the courage to look at myself and see as I truly am, then I'll figure out what's wrong with me and start to do the work to close the gap, basically, as opposed to building alibis to cover my misfortunes. So really it's about looking in the mirror and say, okay, I got some stuff going on right now.
Okay.
I am stressed out. I am unhappy. I got some squirrels running around in my head. I have to paint a smile on my face every single day. I see so many women and men who are so miserable, but they won't look at themselves, but it's easy to address everybody else's problem. So the first thing, Dr. Geneva, is mind your business. For every minute that I used to spend looking at other people, because I was a coach, it left me one less minute to look at myself. So I had to become selfish and say, you know what, I can't help y'all right now. because it's time to do me. I have to figure out, put my oxygen mask on first. What am I missing? Why am I miserable? How can I tell you how to be happy? How can I figure out what makes everybody else happy and I'm so freaking miserable? You know what? Let me pause, and I'll be back. So I stopped coaching people, and it was my gift, so I'm giving it away for free. I'm that person that everybody had on speed dial. Number one, call Christy when I got a problem, but I had to stop and give myself permission to become whole.
Okay.
And that made a lot of people mad.
Okay.
They were like, hey, how dare you take time for yourself and not be here for me? And then you really figure out who your real friends are, because your real friends are the ones who care about you enough to say, all right, go ahead and take your pause. The ones who are using you for what you can do for them are mad because you can't serve their needs at the detriment of your own. So that's the first thing I did, was just give myself permission to do me.
Okay. That's a good one, and you're right. I think that's probably the toughest one, to be able to do that deep introspection, but really to find that kind of time to do it. So once you did it for you, then what happened?
Once I filled my cup, I now give from the overflow. I'm no longer depleted. I'm no longer exhausted.
Okay.
I'm no longer tired. I'm no longer looking for other people to value me, because I've learned how to value myself. I don't care whether or not you talk about me. I don't care whether or not people dislike me. Let me tell you something, Dr. Geneva. I won't do one thing to make somebody like me. Not one. I won't do nothing to make you like me. Either you like me or you don't. And I'm okay with that. Just take me at face value, so I've become so clear on who I am, why I'm here, and where I'm going, that I started to also make a decision and start to discipline myself around people, places, and things that will get me to my destiny, and those who are serving my history, and then having the courage to let those things go.
So that second step seems, I think I'm hearing you say, once you've discovered yourself, you're minded your own business, you've given that permission to be yourself, then a second step that you took was to then discipline yourself to carry out and be very intentional about who it is that you are and what it is you want to do.
Absolutely, because so many times we're stuck in a loop of serving others and then getting mad that nobody's pouring into our cup. We're giving to others and nobody's giving to us. And then you start to complain and feel depleted and then bitter because you're waiting for somebody to give to you. Nobody's doing that. People who serve are the people who serve. You have the people who serve at a great level, and you got the people who enjoy taking. So the problem is, when you're served and you're always the one with the lemonade, people come to expect it. So, Dr. Geneva, we get trapped in what we created. I created this situation. I needed people to need me. I'm a leader. But how do I now break and disrupt what I created? So there's going to be trauma. There are going to be hurt feelings. There are going to be people who won't speak to me anymore. There are going to be people who are upset. And I had to become okay with being okay with people leaving and exiting and talking and not understanding. I'm okay because I have to save myself.
So, Christy,
go ahead.
No, I heard you say, yes, I had to do this, and I need people, and, I'm a leader, and so I needed to, and I wanted to really explore that a little more. These steps you took, what you've been talking about, how does that relate to you being a leader, and how did you taking these steps help you to lead your own life better?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things about leadership is leaders, we serve. We serve humanity, and we love it. But at a certain point, it comes to your detriment, because in your job, you're expected to do the work, perform at a higher level, have a higher budget, you have more responsibilities. Now you have to actually coach people and lead people. And leaders are exhausted. I was exhausted, but I created it. How do you? So many people die at their desk. People create their own, diseases and these things because we're leaders and we love to serve. And we're typically leaders in our communities. We're the leaders in our families. We're the leaders, at our kids' schools. You're the leader at work.
Yes.
So once I got to the point where I was like, I can't continue to do this or I'm going to die. So now I'm trapped because I created this, right? How do I now say, you know what, I'm out? So I left my career. I turned my phone off for 3.5 years. So all of the things I learned was a byproduct of action. I took a step to save myself. I gave myself permission to save myself. I started to do things that were quote unquote crazy or not in the norm, but then I had the results that are abnormal. So I turned my phone off for 3.5 years, like off, OFF. 2 years ago, nobody knew I turned my phone off. So you
literally had no phone, no means of communication through that phone, huh?
For the first 3 months, nobody could call me. And 3 people emailed me. Now I had 100 people who would call me, probably about 120 people that I was talking to all the time. 3 people emailed me because I got off of Facebook too, and they said, "Are you okay?"
Right.
And I said, so those are the 3 people who cared about me, not the people who cared about what I could do for them. So
you're saying you can find out an awful lot just by turning off your phone, huh?
Just turn your phone, or change your number. Change your number and see. Change your number and don't tell anybody. Most people tell everybody.
Well, that's
change
a good tip.
Your number.
That's a secret. There you go. Well, listen, Christy. So, my goodness, this, just the whole idea about this introspection that you went into, and then finding that discipline to make it all happen and coming back after that. And you talked about, I love how you said, well, you were a leader at work, a leader in the community. We're typically leaders at home, leaders at the kids' school. So, particularly women, I'm not sure that women all the time look at themselves as leaders and in having leadership skills or needing to learn about leadership. And so I've had a number of women who've said to me, well, I'm not a leader. I don't have a position or I don't have a title. What's your view on that? What's your take on that perspective?
Well, leaders are, so a lot of people think that leadership is position and titles. Leadership is actually what you do. Leadership is serving other people for a greater good. Leadership is sometimes serving other people at your detriment. So women do it all the time. Moms do it. People in the community do it. I mean, we become the carpool people or the person in the family that's always sticking up and trying to keep the family out of chaos. That's leadership. Leadership is the service of others. It doesn't necessarily mean title or position. But so many times, people won't tell a woman she's a leader. People will tell a man that all the time. People tell boys that on the basketball team or the little league team that all the time. But people will just use women, for our skills and what we can bring. And even I was talking to a banker the other day who was the administrative assistant, and I told her, you should write a book, How to Manage Your Managers. Because he was like, I can't live without her. But she's an administrative assistant, so she doesn't think she's a leader. I'm like, yes, you are, because you're holding this man up. Nobody sees you. He can't live without you, but you need a raise. And he was there, so I was like, she needs a raise. So we have to become aware of who we are. And I go back to that Dr. Geneva's looking in the mirror. So you have some ugly stuff in the mirror and you also have some good stuff. But so many times our minds go straight to the bad stuff, what we didn't do right, or the things that, the shoulda, woulda, coulda, and the decision that we made, or a bad relationship, or all these other kind of things. So we're focused on that and we never get clarity on who we really are and how we serve and how we show up and what are those intricate skills that we have. What do we really do at work? You're not just an administrative assistant.
Exactly.
She said, I'm a senior. She's serving this guy and gets no credit for it. So women need to, and I'll say this, we need to tell each other. That's the key. We need women as women. So when I told her that, her whole face lit up. And then I wrote the title of her book and the subtitle and told her how to build a business around it. This is at lunch. I was, and I slipped it to her, and he saw it, and I was like, yeah, she ain't gonna be there forever. But we need to pump each other up and tell each other who we are, because we can't see it and we're exhausted.
Yes. And so, Christy, if you could go back and tell your younger self a valuable piece of advice, what would you say?
Embrace your weirdness.
Okay.
You will never, ever, ever fit in. But your weirdness and your uniqueness is what's going to make you great.
Okay.
Secondly, hang around other powerful women. And in my career, I wish I would have done more networking and lunches and just being around other women, because other strong women, great women, because you got some petty ones too, but other great women to serve, as opposed to just, hanging around men in my male-dominated work environment. So in my work front, I would say, hey, go out, network with these women. They're great women in the world. Go to lunch with them. Everywhere you go, join a monthly networking session and be around other women who are going to build you up and let go of anybody who says anything negative to tear you down. That's what I would tell myself.
What great advice. What great advice. And what would you, now tell me, you have such a wonderful perspective on leaders and leadership. And I've always believed that leadership is about influence and what it takes to be influential. What's your perspective?
I love that question. You know what's funny about influence? Influence is a byproduct of service. So when I was in my previous career, I mentored 70 people. I had 106 people who worked for me. I was always looking to make other people great. So my gift is not seeing you for who you are. I see you for who you can become.
Okay.
And my gift is to get you from who you think you are to who I see you as, which is what made me successful in my career. Now, when I left, and I did this for a lot of people, so 6 years later, I can call people in that organization and still get stuff done. And so I was like, okay, so is that what influence is? Because so many people have their definition of what it is. Influence is to still have impact when people don't have to do what you say. People want to, so I can still call and I can still say, hey, I need you to do such and such, and they'll do it instantly because I've served them so much. They're willing to do the give back. And so, influence. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was talking to my friend last night
Yes.
who I was saying, hey, one of my friends is in L.A. I'm going to connect you for lunch, and he'll talk to you because I have a reputation and a credibility for excellence. So if I connect somebody, the people that I connect them to are going to call that person immediately. That's influence. You don't have to think I'm flaky or I'm going to connect you with somebody flaky because people already know. If you don't perform and you're not excellent and you don't go for it, then I'm not going to refer you and I don't talk to you. And my friends know that. So they're willing to take that call. They'll be like, Christy, I'm going to call them today. Or I'll go to lunch with them next week. I mean, so that's what influence is, but it's a byproduct of service.
Is it teachable?
Absolutely. But people have to be willing to serve other people. Everybody wants something and they don't give anything. Everybody wants to harvest, but they're not sowing any seed. Everybody wants, you have to put something in to get something out, but everybody wants to extract, and they're not willing to put anything in, and that's selfishness. That's not influence. Service will get you influence. Selfishness will keep you where you are.
I love it. I love it. You know, Christy, you've been involved in so much. You're doing so many things, and you've really, you could just tell that, you know, you've really had great opportunity to self-examine and
Absolutely.
how it just comes out. And I can just tell you're a phenomenal coach, and that your books probably fly off the shelf. You're doing a lot, and you're doing a lot now, and I know you've been through the self-examination, turning off the phone, and maybe that's the secret, then would be your response to what I wanted to ask you about maintaining a balanced life. So my listeners are really interested in how do you keep balance in your life as they're trying to figure it all out. What are your secrets?
Well, for me, balance is really about figuring out what you want to do. Not what other people want you to do, not what other people expect for you to do, but figuring out who you are and what you want to do and giving yourself permission to do it. So for me, I don't spend meaningless time doing things like, I'm not on social media all day, worried about who's talking about me. I mean, I get in and I get out because I have stuff to do. I only talk to people, so I don't have as many friends as I did. I had the core friends. You know, they say either I can have 100 pennies or 4 quarters. I prefer the 4 quarters. So I don't have to worry about, Dr. Geneva, what my friends are saying about me because I see what they can say about me in public.
100 pennies or 4 quarters. Yes.
100 pennies or 4 quarters. So I only spend my time doing what I like, and I only talk to people, again, who either I can serve or they can serve me, or we're doing something together and we're dreaming. And I'll say this, but it's kind of funny. I was talking to this. We went to some networking event the other day, and they put it was my red flag started going off. They put my name the same size as the lady who invited us. I was like, why is this lady's name the same size as mine on my name tag? What is this? So we became targets for this event, and this lady was talking to me about, you know, I got 2 kids, and so they introduced me, and we're going to show you around in the tour. And she just started rambling, and I said, look, I don't want to be disrespectful, because Dr. Geneva, my time is very valuable. Like, I'm not necessarily stingy with my time, but I'm very mindful that I only have 24 hours. I said, look, I don't know where this conversation is going. It sounds like I'm in like a timeshare pitch, and I don't want to be disrespectful to you, but I'm not interested. Wherever you're leading me to, because you look like you're going to take 10 minutes, I gave you 3. I'm done. I'm like that with my time. I don't spend my time doing meaningless things. So many people looking for balance, but you're wasting your time complaining about your boss for an hour on the phone. You're wasting your time watching games, or don't talk to me about you got problems, but you just watch, what's the show with 50 Cent? Power. And you don't have time to do something. You don't have any money to get a coach, or you don't have any money to invest in your dreams, but you went to the On the Run tour. So once you become clear, Dr. Geneva, on who you are, why you're here, and what you're meant to accomplish in this lifetime, every decision that you make will lead you towards that. But so many times people aren't clear on the vision of where they're meant to be, so they waste their time doing meaningless things and wonder why they go in circles.
And so, Christy, you help women get to that point of living this total fulfillment life, the kinds of things you're talking about. So how can women connect with you, and what do you do with and for them?
Okay. Well, they can go to my website, ChristyRutherford.com. They can check out my programs and also schedule a discovery call with me. But one of the things that I do with my clients, and my clients get results. Look, Dr. Geneva, I'm an overachiever, right? Okay. So I tell my clients, you think this is about you? No. It is, but I get you very fast results. That's what I do.
Okay.
So what I like to do is go into what their script is. What's that story that's keeping them where they are? And these are successful women.
Okay.
Because your success is only your drive. So I always say this, what's the drive behind your drive? Behind every successful person is a story that they're not willing to tell, something that's traumatic for them. There's something driving them. But if you don't heal that story from your childhood, typically, you're gonna drive yourself to your detriment. So I try to figure out, what is that story?
Okay.
One of my clients, she had a tumultuous relationship with her father. And he did this and he did that, which is what drove her to high levels of success. Yes. And it also made her thirsty for men. I was like, you thirsty. You need to cut it out. Men don't like thirsty women. And what we got to was her thirst for guys and her desire to prove everybody wrong and achieve all the success was based on a relationship from her father. So once we started to dig around in that story, what we discovered, you basically rewrite the script for your childhood, her dad wasn't as strict. He was trying to protect her. So all the things that she saw from her childhood mind to be strict and do all these things was really to protect her from the world and from herself. So once she got that, it kind of shattered this illusion of what the trauma she thought she experienced as a child, and she saw that it was pure love. So the love that she sought, the love that she sought wasn't from guys. She actually wanted it from her dad. So she ended up leaving her job, but she had enough money. We had to create this plan because she hated the job anyway. She ended up leaving her job. She sold her house. That house sold before she even put it on the market. So everything that you want, Dr. Geneva wants you. Every dream that you have, it wants to be with you. But you have to remove that barrier and that story. And typically people try to figure it out themselves. They need somebody to figure that out. And once you unlock that, you catapult into the next dimension. And she is so happy.
And happy that she found you.
Absolutely.
Christy Rutherford, thank you. I mean, this has just been an incredible conversation. I've learned so much. I know our listeners have too. And thank you for helping women live that life of total fulfillment and just all your knowledge and what you've done. And you walk it, you've walked it. So I can imagine that your how you help women is real and authentic because you are. I mean, you can just hear it from your life story. And so I hope we can talk again. And thank you for just being you. Any parting words that you'd like to share with our listeners?
It is. One of the things that I would love to tell the women, and again, they can connect with me on ChristyRutherford.com, and I have books and programs and events. I have a tour coming up, so I'm going to a couple of cities. But
great!
You don't have to look for peace. You are peace. You don't have to look for love. You are love. You don't have to look for the light at the end of the tunnel. You are the light. You don't have to look for happiness. You have happiness. You just forgot. So everything that you want, you already are everything that you seek, but you have to uncover and let go and unlayer what life has done to you. Life has diminished your shine. The light never went away. It's just been covered by life, bad experiences, bad bosses, and all these things, bad relationships and divorces. But everything that you seek, you already have it, which is what we talked about in the beginning. You just have to let go of the story and the pain and the past to reveal who's already just sitting there waiting for you. Dig her up and unleash her into the world because that person is going to change the world.
Dig her up. Unleash her. Oh, Christy Rutherford, I have enjoyed this so much. We are definitely got to talk again.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for sharing your experiences, your words, your wisdom. Thanks for being on Ignite to Impact.
Thanks so much, Dr. Geneva, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. Thank you, ladies. Take care.
Ignite to Impact.